Hello, my friends. How are you? Happy Friday, TGIF. This is Natasha. I'm so excited to be here with you again today and chat and go over things called life and my stories and my progress and my failures. But I've had a really great day. I know that's going to surprise you because I never say that, right? No, but it's been like a really good day. Like I had my plan, life was going as planned. And this morning, the big plan, like the most exciting plan, I should say, on there was I got to take my son to school. And then afterwards, I was like, okay, I'm going to go get gas. And then I'm going to drive down to Livermore to the patisserie by Simone. And I got there at like 9 o'clock and there was a line out the door. And I was like so happy, like usually I'm like, I have to stand in the line or whatever. But I was so happy for them. Again, like it just like literally warms my heart. And beyond that, it warms my stomach. And, but here's the deal. I'm like literally getting addicted. So I went and I got today, I think it's called like pain de chocolate. Okay, I literally am not a France. I need to go get an immersion. I need to go to French. I need to go to French. I know I need to go to France and have some immersion so that I can pronounce the name of the pastries. But one is actually a malasada. And again, I don't know if I'm saying that right or wrong, but I think it's like a Portuguese, Hawaiian kind of donut thing with like sugar on it, and it's filled, and this one happens to be filled with vanilla, which I had never tried until today. And then I got the croissant with the chocolate inside, and I know that there's a beautiful, pain de chocolat or something, chocolat, I don't know, but let me tell you, I got 2 of each and I've already eaten 1 of each. And I was like today when I broke my fast, because like I was smelling this all day. Like when I went to go eat, I usually I'm like, I want my sweet at the end. Like I have my nice little meal and then I'm like, enjoy. I was like, oh heck no. We're going straight for the goodies today, girl. And it was so worth it. So I just want to share like how beautiful, I don't know if I can, because I'm not like the most tech savvy person here. I know it's embarrassing. I mean, this thing has like this incredible like crunch to it. I was in just 7 heaven. And then this one I don't want to touch because I don't want to get sugar all over my hands right now. But like, it is so good. I am like so excited to eat this tomorrow. But I really wanted to try this Quimon, whatever. I don't know. Quiche, I don't know what it is, but they didn't have them yet. And so here's the dilemma. Like, do I go back again tomorrow and go get more goodies? And then the weekend is when the cakes are there. And I'm telling you, the cakes are my... I work really hard. And, there's always going to be that big girl in me. And I have no, my worry isn't about what I'm going to eat. It's just, here, let me tell you the worry, is I worry about other people. So I'm like, okay, I have had my blessings. Like I've had my opportunity to try her stuff and she's selling out. Like she already sold out this morning before, I think it was like 11 o'clock. It said she was sold out. They had to like remake more stuff and then they were going to open up again at 12:30. So it's like, oh shoot, I should have saved it for people that have never tried her stuff and that like are coming out to try it. And here I am, Miss Gluttonous over here, who just keeps going back for more. And like, but I want other people to share so that they continue to support the business. Like I can't keep her business afloat. I mean, I would love to. I could personally do it, but I don't have that kind of money. And she's only open 3 days a week. So do I just not eat until and then just eat the goodies? So, but there's like so many different things that I want to try. Like last weekend, I saw pictures of people posting this lemon tart, and I love lemon desserts too. And I haven't had like one of her lemon ones, and I was like, oh, I would have loved to try that. And there was like this Danish that they were talking about, creme brulee Danish. Come on, hello. And then there was one with like mushroom and goat cheese. Okay, I know, like I'm getting myself hungry. I need to like stop here because like I think I'm already telling myself like I don't care, I'm going back again tomorrow. Like I'm gonna be selfish. Like I don't know, like I'll decide tomorrow. So I go dance in the morning, and perhaps while I'm already out, because that's the other thing too, is like, thank God it's not in my city, it's in the city away, and it's kind of like deep in the city, so it's like, I gotta go like 20-25 minutes just to get this. And so like it's got to be a good thing, right? Like it's like I don't want to go and then just, I don't know. Oh, and I wanted the pistachio croissant again. That thing was so dang good. So there's this part of me that's like, has this vision in my mind that I was going to get these, have so many treats. And I ended up leaving with 4, which was fine, which was probably more than the average person should have, but I loved it so much. I want to go back again. So that's how my day started. It was just my car filled with this, and then like just being in line. Again, I thrive on talking with people. And so the 2 lovely ladies in front of me were talking about how this was their first time there. So one in front of me and one behind me. And, of course, I'm like, oh, we're in line. We're going to get to chatting. And, at the counter was her husband. Again, I see him all the time at PT. And, yesterday I was hoping to see him so I get the inside scoop on the menu, but he was a jury duty. So I didn't. Thankfully, he was dismissed. The 2 lovely ladies. So the lady in front, she started sharing a story about how when her daughter, like the transition that this place, she's like, it's so neat to see it like all cleaned up and beautiful, because like, I guess a long time ago it had been like a Taco Bell, and then it was like a cookie shop or something like that. So she's, it looks so beautiful in there. They poured their heart and soul in there. And so she's like, it's just so beautiful to see the change. And then she began talking about how when there was a library near there. So she said, I used to in the summertime, I'd take my daughter over here to the library, and then we'd walk over here and get Taco Bell. So it's just, I think it's always so neat because, you get to hear this whole other like person's life. This like, we get these like connections to places or situations. And like in that moment, I was listening to her story, but it also reminded me of the days. My kids always joke, because like talk about it, how we would always do the summer reading program. And, like my oldest one, of course, he actually read the books, and, I wouldn't sign off unless he actually read them. My daughter loved to read, same thing. And the little ones, I don't think they ever read one of the books, but they still got like the prizes in the end. And they found some kind of way to finesse the system, or listen to an audiobook, or not listen to one at all. They kept, by then I was so exhausted and doing so many different things. They probably wrote the same book each year in a row, or they would pick like the bare minimum book. It was like a picture book, which is fine. You're still reading, right? But like here, my oldest son was picking like these like mysteries that were like chapters long. So again, like it brought back fond memories of those days doing the summer reading program with my kids. And it was so beautiful to hear her story and to hear the history of this little shop. And then the lady behind, she was talking about how she's been waiting to like have like the, there's a real need for like a real authentic French, bakery and so it was just great to hear the stories, and that she had just dropped off her kids and then had a little bit of time to kill in between and then headed over. So I loved it. There was a full line in front of me. I was to the door when I got there, and when I left, the line was still to the door. So people were just coming, and it just reminded me of that, like, I don't know if you guys know, or if you guys were kids when this movie came out, I think it was Kevin Costner in it. It's the one like the Field of Dreams, like if you build it, they will come. And that's like all that keeps like coming into my mind. And again, like I say, I'm such a fan of vulnerability. I'm such a fan of being honest. I'm such a fan of pursuing dreams, and she emulates all that. I'm such a fan of family. I'm such a fan of like taking that risk, and I'm like so like mesmerized, motivated, because that's a really tough time to take a huge risk, right? When your kids are 8 and younger, like at least for me, it was like, I wanted to play it safe. I wanted to be as stable as I could in this time. Like, there were the risks taking ability of me, it was not like there. I just was like too much. I was too narrow focused, and like figured you had to do it these certain ways. So to see this, and then like they're writing articles about her in the local newspapers, and people are hearing about her through word of mouth. And I just like, that's what they were saying. It's like, oh yeah, the one lady in front of us read an article. The one lady behind me, she had a friend at the school where she took her kids, and they had said it was so amazing. So I just love it. And I love how people are rallying around her. Like, there she is now in the back doing her craft, and she came out and said hi to me. Her husband was like, hey, I'm a loyal customer here. And, I think it's just so beautiful to see this, and to see how much And of course the product is amazing. So like it can stand on its own without all this. But like, it's just so cool to see how much good is in the world, right? Like how many people donated to her. I didn't donate on the GoFundMe. I just Venmoed her and I was like, listen, I don't know what the fees are. I just want you to get every penny of it. And like, like it just is so heartwarming to see how many people took the time to even read it. And if maybe you don't have the means to donate, like, or whatever, like some people offered their time to help, do cleaning, do whatever, like they had their tech stuff covered. But I was even like, I will donate a few hours of tech support, like if you need it, like just don't pay somebody, like I think her husband figured it all out and stuff like that. But I was like, seriously, like, whatever, if you ever now or in the future, it's like it stands, like please, I will gladly offer my services as a taste tester if she ever needs one. Like call me. I will give you a fully honest review of I love it. Because I can't imagine not. But yeah, so anyway, so that's how my day started. Like, how could your day go wrong? You like smell it in the car. And of course, like I fast. So like the self-control I have, incredible, because it was just like permeating. And then I brought it up to my room, and I don't usually eat in my room or anything, but I just wanted to smell it. Like it was just a Friday. It was warm. It was like self-love, self-care. Like I was just excited to like have all my senses get a piece of it. And my nose was just like, okay, when is this time we're going to eat this? And so, the funny thing is I end up doing all that, and then I, start to do my run, and then I remembered like I need to go back and take a look. I was talking about, well, I'm going to first actually say this. I just want to say that I know that, sometimes right from jump, right? Like we have a realization, and then, today I'm going to start a diet, or today I'm going to eat healthier, or today I'm going to go to the gym, or today I'm going to quit drinking, or start drinking less, or cut carbs, whatever it is, right? And sometimes we go big. Like we have this idea and then we go big. So yesterday I talked about how I am not always the kindest driver. And sometimes, on occasion, like I do things I'm not very proud of and I'm ashamed of. And furthermore, I didn't really question what it was. Like, again, it took this platform, it took my journaling to like, it took the meditation and the quieting and the, like, to have all the stars align. It took the bad behavior that I exhibited and everything aligned to where I had this breakthrough, and I understood, like, I was like, yes, okay, like it's not excusable, it's not defendable, but I understand why I'm behaving this way. I'm associating this random driver I've never met, probably will never ever see again in my life, hopefully, with all these. I've created this whole story that they're controlling me. I'm feeling manipulated. I'm feeling stuck. I'm feeling trapped. I'm feeling irritation. I'm like frustrated. And I've got this whole ball of things going on simply because Mr. Tessie wanted to come in front of me and then not allow me to pass, not, like played games with me. He was taunting me. It felt like, and like I said, maybe he was on autopilot. He was asleep. He didn't even know what was going on. Like, I don't know his full story. Like he could have been getting fired from his job. He could have been like arguing with his wife. Like, I don't know what his real story was. So in lieu of that, I created this whole story, and not only to him, but to every big truck that's cut me off, every Tessie that's done it. And like I said, every male that's ever done it. Like, I have had that, and I think it brings up all those emotions, like with my relationship with Chris, my relationship with my dad, the assaults that have been done to me, just the array of things. And in those situations where I've had to like fight back and, like, again, like it pulls out this like part of me where it's like, I'm gritty and I'm tough and like, no one's going to control me and all these things. And I just never realized it. And I'm like, whoa. So having that realization, I have the 2 stickies. I moved them in a different place, so they were like a lot more visible. I put them on a different color. They're like bright pink hanging there. My kid Tyler's like, what is this right here? I'm like, read it. He was trying to get me to go quickly home today because he needed to do something when he got here, and I'm like, patience is power. And, he was just like, sometimes mom, he's like, okay, whatever. But, it was so helpful. I mean, today when I got in the car, a whole different energy, 1,000% different vibe. Like, I felt like a changed woman. I was like, I have never driven like this. Like, I have never, like, was intentionally in the slow lane. Like, just know I didn't feel that thing. At one time, because I had to go into like the fast lane or whatever, I didn't have to, but I chose to go in it. And because I was going to my night class, and I drove a good amount because I drove, to the bakery, I drove to Costco to get gas. I drove home. I took my son to school. I took my son home from school. Like, I did have that frustration. Like, oh, okay, somebody backed well into me and locked me in almost when the thing, I didn't even, like, I wasn't tripping. Like, before I'd be like, really, okay, do we need to go right up to my bumper so I can't get out of here? Like, none of that. Like, it didn't faze me. And I'm not saying like, okay, I did it once and I am a recovered, aggressive driver. Like, I'm not saying that. Like, but that awareness and that identifying what my experience was, like, had this full release and healing. And so I would like to practice, like, I am realistic that I may have days and times where there's this perfect storm or, whatever. I go back to using my right hand, but just having this cognition for me is huge. And so I needed to share that, even though it's just, what? It's not one day. Today was day one of a whole new driver. And I actually really liked it. And it was like a whole different experience. I didn't have this, like, it was just a different vibe. So again, like I say, if you have this ability, if you have the time, if you have the curiosity to question, like, why you're feeling a certain thing, or why, like, what is it your body is trying to tell you? Like, what is going on? It can't just be you're pissed off at Mr. Tessie over here. Like, it was so much deeper than what I had, on the surface with like a narrower mindset, like I just saw what was here in the now and what was in the present. And I didn't realize all these situations from the past were just still circulating and now somehow got attached to this random person who really probably didn't mean me any harm whatsoever. It just, the way I interpreted it was he did. And my body was like, okay, then this is where we're going back. This is what happens. This is what's happened time and time again. And this is just happening again. And it wasn't like that. Like, there was a time that somebody came over and I did, like I said, all I did was I took my foot off the gas. I'm like, I'm just going to put distance between me and you. And now I'm not in this aggressive mode that I'm right on you. And I'm reminded every 10 seconds that you just cut me off. This was like, cool, you have it. It's good. I'm good. Like, I'm good over here. I'm cool. And I wasn't like, it was totally honest and everything. So today was day one. I'm hoping to make it to day 100. And, I'm pretty good once I get that cognition, once I have that connection and that understanding and the desire to want to build and become something else. Like, that's really maintainable and sustainable. Like, I have like methods now, like knowing, okay, I can back off, I can change lanes, like, you aren't trapped. And so knowing I have an out and knowing like these things, like, it just makes it so much easier for my brain and body. And they're like, oh, okay, fine. Like, I'm cool with that. Like, I'm not even tripping. Like, here, you want to go ahead, have it, like, enjoy, bye, whatever it is. We're going to be a part of each other's lives for the next 10 minutes while we're on this freeway. All right, great, fine. Our worlds have collided temporarily, and that's all. Like, and it was like such a relief and release. So let's hope it keeps going. I'll be honest and keep you up on the progress. And so I went to the gym today, and first I'll get to this. Also in regards to this, so I went to the gym today and I wasn't in a hurry, so I didn't, get to the class, like I was working on stuff. And so, when I left, I know if I leave earlier, I will get, this ideal spot or whatever. And I was just like within the mode, within the, like the realization about even the driving and the stuff. I was just, and like where I am right now, kind of in this thing is like, I'm enjoying change. I'm enjoying not only seeing things from one perspective, which may be a perspective in a class. So like just getting myself comfortable, getting uncomfortable, and changing. It's like getting me more creative. And let me explain what I'm talking about there. So like even with the thing, I had to make the choice, right? I always say this, like life is all about choices. It's little choices. It's big choices, right? Do I marry this person? Do I not? Do I take this job? Do I not? Do I apply for this job? Do I not? Do I have kids or not? Like, do I get a dog or not? Like, you know, and then there's like little choices. Like, am I going to, you know, meditate? Am I going to make my bed? Am I going to eat? What am I going to eat for dinner? What, you know, like those are like minor choices, right? Like no biggies. Like, but let me say this. So like I had a choice. I was working on something and I could have left earlier, but I was like, honestly, I'd rather like with this time, do I want to rush so I get this one particular spot or area to be in, or do I want to finish up what I'm working on and then just get there when I do? And so before I would try to have my cake and eat it too. I would finish what I was working on and then speed up there, you know, switching lanes, you know, get very cautiously though. Let me remind you, at 55 miles an hour, never went over the speed limit. No, just kidding. Again, you know, like, I also found like a little thrill in it because again, there's this part of me that wanted to be a race car driver. And so a little piece of it is like thrilling to find my way out. I don't know what it is. It's like, I have a big car so I can see far ahead. I love to look in the future and I love to like my brain to put together, like, where are the gaps and the holes? So like, it's almost like a game, and I know it shouldn't be. I am driving a vehicle and, you know, like it can be a deadly weapon. So I should not be viewing it as a game. And, you know, I know all that, like, but like, even at slow speeds, like I enjoy like, okay, somebody's here. Let me just, you know, like, I don't know. There's something about like, that's magical about like, oh, making it efficient and like, you know, seeing how I can get out of this situation, whatever. Anyways, that's my own issue again. But I was like, I'm just not going to do it. Like, I'm going to get in the lane and I'm going to stay in the lane. Like, if that other 2 lanes end up going faster, have gaps, have whatever it is, we're just going to go here and stay here. And it was just like, in a way, a lot more peaceful. I wasn't like in this other additional challenge of life and that I was creating for myself. And so I got there and it was few minutes before the start of class, and I talked to like, you know, a couple of my friends around there, but the area in which I stood was like completely congested. There was like 8 people where 6 people should be, and I was like, I am not going to try to squeeze in there. I'm just going to go to the back. And then, I mean, there was like 5 people, or at least maybe 6 or 7 people that were like, no, there were at least probably 7 or 8 people that were like, move over here, take this spot, go up here, like there's room for you over here. And I was like, no, it's okay, you're not taking your spot. Then like, they're so cute. They're like, when we can't see the instructor, we just watch you, like we need you to be up there. And you know, so I thought that was so sweet. I mean, that was like 4 ladies were telling me that. And so, you know, poor guys too, they don't get a show, you know, they didn't get all the shaking out there today. So sorry about that. I was just in the back, and like, again, because I changed my environment, like it changed my thing. I had my little clique and crew up there, and you know, we all did, you know, because each day is a night. This isn't the lady. This one's just like the OG crowd, right? Like, and they're all like inspirational. They're all like moving and doing things. They're all very supportive, like Team Javier up there. So no issues. I love them all. I adore them all. But then like I was in the back, and now I was next to a lady, and she starts talking, you know, I was like, hi. She's like, you're not going up there? I was like, it's too congested today. I'll stay back here. And she's like, but I love watching you. So she was one of the ones. And, you know, she's like, when I can't see, and she's like, your body has changed a lot. And so I started talking to her, and she's like, how long have you been coming? And, you know, I told her, and then I said, how long have you been coming? She said, just a couple months. And I'm like, you're doing so good. Like, that's so awesome. And, you know, I got to introduce myself to her, and she introduced herself to me. And like, I met a new person because I got out of my comfort zone, and it was so nice to dance beside her. And then, you know, this other woman came up, and she was doing the salsa with me. And, you know, she was just she is a hoot. She's a good time. And, she was like, I miss you up here. I need to be watching you. You get me motivated to push myself more. So I thought that was super sweet. And then my friend from Pleasanton came to the class, like in the middle of the class, and I was like in it. We were doing like a serious dance, and I'm in it. And she came and like tickled me. I was like, oh my, like I thought I hit somebody. Like I just about died. I was laughing so hard because it just caught me so off guard. Like, where the heck? I'm like, did I hit somebody? Like, what was I doing? Like, what happened? She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I like literally like gasped and jumped. I was like, oh, like, what is going on? I'm glad like my reaction isn't to like hit somebody or something, but because I love her, and she's like absolutely so cute. But yeah, so like it was a good time for that, like for just getting out of my comfort zone. And again, like seeing the world from a different perspective has allowed me to meet new people and has allowed my circle to kind of grow. And, like I love that nurturing, comforting, like these are my friends and these are my people. I love that. I love that those people, and like so many people are like, in the front, like one lady was like, where's Natasha? And then I was like, and then a bunch of them pointed back at me, and I just waved and smiled, and they were like, come up here. And I was like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Like, it's just like with the car, like, it's okay. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not hurt. I'm not sad. Like that there was a space. They got there first. Enjoy your spot. Like, have fun at it. Like, I chose what to do with my time, and that means I'm in the back. I mean, I'm in the back, and I made a new friend today, and that's pretty cool. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. And so yeah, I had a good time with that. And then but I did, so another thing back in reflection of yesterday, I had had this like epiphany mid session here that perhaps it was the anniversary of the last time I had talked to my uncle, and I'll be darned, it was today. And so when I first woke up, I actually had like a lot of anxiety in my stomach, and like I had this like feeling like I had a lot to do, and I had a feeling like kind of it was just kind of a heavy-ish feeling. Like, I don't know, I can't really articulate what it was. I really haven't processed enough of what it was, but it was almost an anxiety, but not really. Like, it was just an uneasiness in my stomach. And so I did my meditation and stuff. That definitely helped me. I did my shower, and all those things definitely helped. And then, like I said, I was able to like go on about the day. And then once I had came home after I had my goodies, that's why my little goodies stayed here in the room. I was like, I need something very loving around me. And this smell is very loving and kind. And, so sure enough, today is the anniversary, and I don't even want to say anniversary, but like it's been 729 days. I believe that's what it was. I had Echo do my math for me, and 700, I believe that's what it was, 729 days since the last time we had an actual conversation together. And my uncle and I let's be clear on that. So quick story, if you didn't listen or don't know, my uncle and auntie were like a second set of parents to me. So they were 10 years older than my parents, and sadly they were unable to conceive a child of their own. But out of their generous hearts, when we were young, my auntie used to take us in the summers while my dad had to work, and he couldn't afford like daycare for us all day. So she would take us on. He gave her $50 for the summer and was like, make it last. And she did. She would put us at like, she's like, kids, this week you're Jewish. And we were like, what? This week you are a Jehovah's Witness. And we were like, what? Like, she's like, just play it cool, and she would sign us up for all these camps at these churches, because she would go in and say, these kids have no money or whatever, it is like, say their story. And they were like, oh, just join for free. And then, like she like researched and found like everything. We went to museums, we took buses, we did like with kid passes, and then this certain movie days it was like free kids, and like she made a way to stretch that $50. I'm sure my uncle like ended up giving money to or whatever, but like she stretched that $50 like as far as it could possibly go. Put us in dance and gymnastics, and or not dance and karate and all kinds of movies in the park. I mean, you name it, we did it that summer. That summer was amazing. Swimming, water parks. We just did so much. The Santa Clara County fairs, like, I remember it all like yesterday. Like, it was just what I had always imagined that every kid spent their summers. And I mean, she took us to the city, you know, she taught me to play the violin, like, so just, I mean, incredible what things like, and she had it all planned out like a camp counselor would. And, it was pretty awesome. So, we had this really like close relationship with my uncle and my aunt, my brother and I. And, that was like one of the blessings. So again, I say, like, with every kind of loss or every piece of tragedy, there is something beautiful, because, you know, perhaps had my mom been there and in my life, I would have had this enriching relationship from my external family, right? Like, I would have been narrowly focused into mine, and I wouldn't have had the time or opportunities to develop these relationships with my uncles and my aunts. And I think that's part of what makes my mind so different too, is I've been exposed to so many different wise thinkers at the primes of their life, right? And then I'm not their child, so they're raising me as ish a child. Like, my relationship with my niece is very different. It's not my job to like discipline. And, you know, I mean, obviously if there was like something really bad that was going on, like, I would be like, okay, no, we don't, you know, poke the dog's eyes or something. This never happened. But like, you know, I mean, obviously I know, like, to say, no, we don't run in the street, or, you know, whatever. I mean, those things, right? But I'm just auntie over here. Like, I'm auntie. I get to have fun. I get to like love on you and teach you in a different way than I did with my own kids. And I can imagine, I'm not a grandma yet, but I can imagine that that's similar, right? I parent my 4 kids different. Why? Because number one, I took the feedback and some things I applied, and some things I'm like, nope, that's still me. I'm gonna, you know, like, that's a non-negotiable for me. I get y'all didn't like that part of it, but hey, again, if you liked every part of my parenting, I'm going to say I probably didn't do a good job, because you should not always like my parenting, because you're a kid and you push my boundaries. You want to push your boundaries. You want to, you know, graze around the world and see what's out there in the pastures, but nope, mom's going to fence you in sometimes, and that's my job. And I take my job seriously. And so, you know, you'll either love me or hate me for these decisions, but that's my decision. So anyways, off on that tangent, but it's very different relationship, right? And so like, and then with the older, like, I'm older and wiser when I am parenting my kids. Like, I understand some things are not, you know, my perspective of college even. Like, you know, it was this have to, like, it was this thing. But I understand, like, yes, for certain professions and certain things, that college is a thing. However, college isn't going anywhere. I'm going back to college someday. Like, you don't have to go to college at 19 and 20. You don't have to immediately get the job. You don't have to, like, all those things that I'm saying to challenge, like, I force fed down my kids' throats, like, this is the way, this is the way, this is the way, right? Like, you want to be successful. But oh my God, none of us are telling our kids to go out there and be tradesmen. So like, whoever is smart enough to go out there and be a plumber, an electrician, a contractor, a mechanic, like, we are going to be greatly in need of your services, which means cha-ching, right? Like, you can charge a premium, because we're not telling our kids to go to trade schools. We're like, university, college, you have to go, or else you are going to live on the streets and work at McDonald's, or you can't even get a job there without a college degree. So I don't know where you're going to go. Like, no, like, we live here in Silicon Valley-ish area. So, I mean, look around. A lot of these people, the things that they do, very little of them apply the knowledge they learned in a classroom in their college. I mean, unless you're like some kind of data science or, you know, engineer or things like that, perhaps maybe. But most jobs don't want to train you to be the way they want you to be anyways. It's, you know, it's more of the critical thinking, the problem solving, the other issues that you learn in college that you then take with you, you know, more so than the lesson that you learned, some of these classes that my kids take, I find them absolutely fascinating, but they have nothing, they're not going to do anything with astronomy, like so far, so it's just cool data to know. It's cool information. Like, okay, noted, like I can use this on trivia one day perhaps, or hey, did you guys know this? Like, I don't know. Like, it's cool. Nothing wrong with it at all. Like, I think it's beautiful that they get to learn it. Like I say, I think it's so awesome to learn from people who are passionate about anything, like whatever it is. But you can also turn on YouTube and you find people passionate about a million different things. Like you see, they're passionate about succulents, they're passionate about flowers, they're passionate about art, and they're willing to share that. Like, I think that's so amazing. Like, right? Like, it's so cool. We live in this era and time that people can have this platform to share their music, their passions, their loves, their desires, like their poetry, their books. Like, it's so cool. So, pardon me, it ends up being the anniversary. And I don't even like to call it the anniversary, right? Because like anniversaries to me are something to be celebrated, something to be excited about. Like, hey, it's our anniversary. Like, let's go to dinner. Like, there is no, hey, it's the anniversary of the death of your basically second father. Like, and, again, like he came in a time, and this is the beauty of my uncle and aunt. It was like as if the universe knew I needed more. Like, even when we were kids, like, and we would go over, he was a ton of fun. He would tell us to go to the closet, my uncle, and he would have boxes and he would say, pick out a box. And so, we would sit there and like carefully, like, look at the boxes, my brother and I, and he wouldn't tell us why we had to pick out this box, so the first time, obviously, it was a surprise. There every time after it wasn't. And we're looking, big one, little one, like, what should we do? So we picked this box, and he was all about using your imagination and creativity, and like he was all about questioning the status quo. Like, he was all about telling me, like, pull your kids out of school. All they're trying to do is teach your kids to be robots. Like, go to school and do the 9 to 5. You have the luxury of teaching your kids like anywhere in the world. They have online schools now. Like, they're going to learn so much more if you go take a road trip around the United States than they are this year in school. Like, and in a lot of ways, he is not wrong, like, but again, I'm like, we have to do things right, and the kids have other commitments, and they're not like, yeah, let's get on board. Cause me, like, I always say, like, my grandma used to say, like, joke around. She's like, I'm like a gypsy. I just want to travel. I just want to go around. And I was like, I get it, Grandma. I want to do it too. Like, I am here and cemented down. Like, my wings are clipped so that I can stay here and provide these kids with this stable life that I had dreamed of having when I was young. And I am like, I am so not a stay in one place, but I do like systems, and I do like having a plan and stuff like that. So like, I like my routines. I do really well with that. So again, the grass is greener. Perhaps if I'm traveling around all the time, I'm like, listen, I just need some stability right now. I'm off kilter. So anyways, he definitely was a freer thinker. He questioned like us to like think out of the box. He asked random questions that I would be like, I don't know the answer. And I was like so busy. Like, my important thing was like to get it right, and, to not disappoint anybody, and everybody think I was dumb or whatever. So I was so stuck in my head when he would ask the questions like, like a deer in headlight. Like, I just don't want to answer wrong. And the thing is, what I realize now, and I didn't realize then, that it's in his with him being gone, is there were never any right answers. Like, there was, whatever answer was the right answer. Like, my answer was right, or he would question it, like, it wasn't about being right. It was about like opening your mind. So he wasn't trying to like quiz me and give me a grade. It was just like, okay, well, what about this way? And it was just to really like open up my mind. So anyways, he would say, go in the closet and pick these boxes. So we'd pick it out, and he would be like, if you want, you can draw on the box. So we'd sit there and draw on the box and color it, and he'd be like, okay, let me know when it's ready. And so the box would be ready, and he'd kind of look at it and look it around, and then he'd shove the parts of it in, and now it's a thing, and he'd be like, what do you think of it now? And I was like, that's interesting, like, and then he'd tell us to hop in, and he would make it like it was like this like roller coaster, and he would shake the box and we would sit in it. And I don't think we would at the same time, my brother and I, one at a time, but he would shake it and then go up and then go down and go to the side and this. And he was like 6'4", so like we are going up to the ceiling and flinging this way and flinging that way, and just had just the giggles and the laughter, like when that, I don't know if you've ever been to San Francisco or on a ride where your just belly drops out, like San Francisco on the hills. Like my dad used to like speed up the hills and then like go down them, and then your belly would have this big drop, and we were like, again, like, dude, it was so fun. Or there's certain roller coasters or rides that will kind of give you that belly drop feeling. Now I can't stand it, but I used to love it as a kid. And those, roller coaster rides, he would call it, just satisfied that too. And so, and even in later on in life, when my dad was again, like before was my mom wasn't in my life, they both stepped up. And then now later on in life, again, when my dad now wasn't in my life, they again stepped up. And it was like nobody asked. It was just like what they had felt in their heart that they wanted to do. And obviously I was now a 22-year-old, 23-year-old. It's, how you need your parent is very different, but it didn't take away the fact at this like really tough time in my life, probably the toughest time of my life, right? Like everything had shifted on its head. Before 1999, my life was all about my family, my dad, my job, my extended family, my grandma, my auntie now was in the area, a different auntie, my Playboy bunny auntie, that was the one I was talking about. So my Aunt Nina was in the area, her husband, their son, like it was about my friends. It was about going out. It was about finally like coming to this kind of stage, but at a 20-year-old where it was like, I realized then how I had become so codependent and people had become codependent on me. And that like that relationship was just, those relationships were like defining who I was, and I could tell. And that's why I decided, I was like, I need to go to Europe. I need to separate myself from everybody else so I can hear myself. It gets too noisy for me, and I by nature will silence myself so I can hear you. And I knew this, like I knew it. It like came to me. And I was pretty young to like think like, I mean, I don't, maybe younger kids do, but like I was like, good on you, girl, for like realizing that at 21, and good on you for like having the courage to want to go and take this trip. Now again, like I said, it never came to fruition. However, it doesn't mean it's not going to. It was delayed and not canceled, okay? So, but there's going to be some major adjustments. Mama ain't doing the hostels here, so Mama doesn't play that game. I'm not sleeping in a room with other people, or I don't know what those look like nowadays or whatever. Listen, I like a bed. I like a clean shower to myself. So, yeah, this is my standard. It's not, I'm not backpacking either. Let me make that clear. I am not throwing on a dang backpack on my back and wandering around. I don't know. It's very different now than a 21-year-old. I will be living it up, but not in the same ways, very different ways. But, so I think it was very courageous of me to already have realized that. But then, like I said, at that same time, just days after my son was able to finally come home from the hospital, my dad marries the lady that hates me. That relationship, like very quickly is no longer. And she's just absolutely too threatened by my brother and I being in my dad's life. And my dad accepted it because it was the lesser of two evils. Figured I was busy with my own life. My brother's busy with his own life. Now he'll create this whole new life. And he did. He succeeded in that. And, he he bought into the story, and he chose the path of least resistance. And, you know, I let it happen too. Like, I didn't fight for it. I wasn't like, you know, there were a couple times I was like, why are you doing this? Like, this like literally breaks my heart. Like, this is so sad. And he was just like, I know, I just can't see a way out, and it's not going to always be this way and stuff. And so, you know, he had his stuff, and I just immersed myself deeper into my family, which again was so weird, because here now I'm looking around and my family is like now splintering. And so they were doing like the whole like, okay, well, your dad will come to Thanksgiving with Natalia first, and then you guys can come after. And I remember like we showed up, it was in the evening. Now everybody else had come in the morning, or the earlier in the day. Everybody else had left. So it's just me and my auntie and my grandma, and literally a turkey carcass is on the table. And I remember looking at my kids and I was like, hell no, we are so much better than a turkey carcass. Like, this is not family. This is not how it's supposed to be. And if this is how we're invited, we are like the leftovers. We are the thought of afters. Like, I just want no part of it. I'll do my own. Like, this hurts way too much to be this, like, and to know that she gets to enjoy the best of my family and I get the leftover, and I don't even get to see my dad. It was heartbreaking for me. And so like shortly after that, like I just more also started to distance myself and was like, I'm just gonna host my own. And even if that means it's just Chris and my kids and I, then at least I know like we are not anybody's leftovers or second wanted or thought of afters. Like, we are important and we are loved. We are worthy of a warm, fresh, whole turkey, you know, at minimum. So it like broke my heart. And it was just like, again, it's so weird. It's like, I obviously didn't know my kids at that point because they weren't born yet, you know, like, and I didn't know Chris in the beginning of 1999. And then all of a sudden, everybody and everything that was everything to me was now like, I no longer almost associated with it. My friends too, like I'm in a different place, like I'm having kids, they're still having fun, you know, it's too tempting for me again. Like, I know I need to separate, right? So it's like too tempting, you know, like for me to go out and drink with them or smoke with, like, I wasn't even in that mood. I wasn't even in that vibe and that energy anymore. And it was like that piece of me, that Natasha was dead. Like, she just was gone. She didn't exist anymore. That life was just a distant memory, and every day growing more and more distant. And so I was like in this position where I needed to love and learn to love like this new life I've created, because it was all I had. And, you know, I wanted it to be a great life. Like, I wanted my kids to have like amazing experiences, and I wanted to have amazing experiences again. Like, fulfilling this perfect fantasy of a mom didn't include mom going out and coming home hungover, you know, like, or putting myself in situations where I knew my marriage was built on a faulty foundation. I didn't want to put myself out there in situations where perhaps I do something stupid, you know, like, I'm not saying I would have, but I don't know what a 20-year-old who already was making a lot of stupid decisions and choices, like, who knows what I'm, you know, what I was capable of doing. And so, you know, again, like being that cautious person, not wanting to make any risks or anything, I was like, the best thing is just for me to not put myself in situations that are unsafe. Like, I have put myself in unsafe situations, and unsafe stuff has happened that I didn't intend to happen. I didn't think was going to happen, but nonetheless, it happened. And so I just was like, let's avoid that. So anyways, my uncle and my aunt again came a stronger part of our life. They were there always at the holidays, and they, like, you know, they became these like surrogate parents, not only to me, but even to Chris. Like, he ended up helping Chris with like training Chris and my uncle, and, you know, helping him, encourage him to start a business and in computers, and gave Chris his first clients because my uncle was retiring. So like, those two developed a very strong bond. I mean, they would sit there up at night and playing video games. I'd be like, listen, you two need to go to bed. It's like 4 a.m. and I got stuff to do, and I'm hearing you guys, you know, keep it down. Like, you know, like, they would play games. They would go to lunch together. They developed their own unique relationship, which I loved. And then like, you know, my auntie and I got even closer. She would send, you know, stuff to encourage me to like put kids in these activities, or, you know, here's these recipes, here's how to, here's this bargain, you know, at this store, you know, go grab these, and, you know, bring books and things like that to like help enrich the kids. So like, you know, it was a beautiful thing how sometimes life, like things come and go and flow. And I say all that to say, so yes, it's been 729 days since the last time I had like verbal communication with my uncle. And today was the first day. Like my first thought of it always is, when I think about it and I think about the last time that he called me, again, I didn't answer the phone. And today it was like, I finally had that bigger picture. And I want to say, like, this is because I'm getting more comfortable. And I know it's just a dance class, but in other things, like other areas of my life, I'm, you know, brushing my teeth with my left hand. Like I am doing things to kind of question the normalcy, question my default setting, and see like, oh, there's other options. There's other views. Like, you know, I'm going to take the left instead of the right. You know, like I'm just trying to do things differently and see what I see, and then make adjustments if I want, or go back to what I want. Like it just gives me opportunities. And so today was the first time that I could see my story different than the story I've been telling. So like, you know, as I've said here before, I've had many opportunities and been in many positions where I've been there supporting somebody, you know, at death, close to death, or, you know, somewhere in between. And so again, like I have this like superhero thing on my back. And so when my uncle called and I didn't answer, you know, my initial remembrance of the story, you know, like if I reflect on it, I didn't give myself the grace of knowing the whole story. All I would say was like, here it was, he threw out this beacon light and he needed your help, and you didn't answer the call. Like you ignored the signal. And it was like, I would find like great peace in it, because like I said, he was the one who taught me this lesson about like choosing my distractions, choosing my interruptions, like being in the present. And so like this concept was omnipresent in my mind. And it was like, oh, maybe it's like he's testing me. And he would often call, like if he knew we were meeting the next morning, I was going to go to my dance class. Like it was all planned. I was going to my dance class. I was going to pick us up lunch. We were going to do the lecture. I was going to hang out until the very last moment that I could just zip on up, pick up the kids from school. So I was going to be there at least 4 hours. We were going to have this whole, you know, time together. And sometimes he would call to be like, oh, here's a new word of the day, or, oh, listen to this song, or whatever. Like he would just, you know, something would come up, and he would sometimes just call, and he'd be like, oh, I thought I'd get your answering machine. You know, I thought I'd leave a message or whatever. And I'd be like, well, do you want me to hang up so you can leave a message? And sometimes he would be like, yes. I'm like, okay, I'll got you, you know? And then other times we would end up talking for an hour on the phone. And, or sometimes he was so funny because he knew we would both just like get going. He would set timers on his like Alexa device and be like, set a 5-minute timer so that like it would end. And I'd be like, can you set 5 more? Like we're in it, like, you know, or he would just naturally do it. And I'd be like, okay, you know, or be like, what time, how much, you know, he'd often ask me like, how much time do you have? Like, and like 30 minutes was his sweet spot. So like part of me is like, maybe I need to change these videos to like 30 minutes. So like, again, I'm still playing. This is a work in progress too. So, you know, like perhaps I'd change it to that. I don't know. But anyways, I didn't answer the call, and it was a Wednesday night. I had a really long day. I talked to him in the morning. I had 2 dance classes, and this was like, you know, in theory, like I had only went to a couple weeks of these classes. I was just getting into the groove. So my body was super sore. Like, you know, I was in a very different like state. Like it was still very new to me. I was missing, I would come, like, you know, like I was just, you know, getting into my groove. I was so tired that day. I remember that night. And like I said, you know, on Valentine's Day, sadly, 2 of my boys, they're, you know, I have 3 boys. This family has 3 boys, and my son Dylan plays with their oldest son. My son Tyler plays soccer with their youngest son. or not the youngest son, their middle son. And so it impacted them. Like it traumatized them. Like they were sad to see their friends hurting. Number one, hurting in general, and then number one, literally in a hospital, and the mother gone. And it was just too close to home. Like it was really difficult for them. And you know, they were heartbroken for the whole situation. But then it's like, it also gives you this like reminder of how, you know, again, it reminded them how fragile life is, and that like there was no difference between her and, you know, one of my kids being in the car, you know, like me and one of my kids being in the car and her and one of her kids. It was just a matter of like time and place in space, right? And so I remember that had just happened not too long before, right? From Valentine's to today. And I remember talking to my uncle about them. And I remember saying, I just want to do something for this family. Like, and my uncle was actually crying when I told him this story about this family and what had happened. And he was like, yes, donate, give them money or whatever. And I donated a significant amount of money for me, you know, to the family. And not that that was ever going to make anything better, but it was just what felt right to do in that moment. The whole team actually rallied together, and like they, you know, both teams, like they gave either financial things, food, they gave kindness words. They created a book for the young man in the hospital with encouraging letters, you know, signed a soccer ball, like all those things. And I remember when I heard about it, I remember actually reaching out to the coach of the team that coached and this guy has a connection with us very intensely because he was Dylan's coach when he was having the seizures, assistant coach. His son had played with Dylan for many years. He's a year old, you know, grade older, but still played with Dylan nonetheless. So his dad's always been a part of like our life. But I reached out to him initially and I was like, listen, this isn't like public knowledge, and I'm privy to this. I know what happened. But I just know that like how precious and like life breathing the air was from getting the support from the team when Dylan was having this experience. Like, is there anything we can do, like either as a club or as from the high school team or something? Like, I don't know what to do. I'm not good in these situations, but I'm good in saying like, here's the story, I need help, and I think you would be somebody that could really help in facilitating. And he did amazing. Like, I have so much respect for that coach. He ended up like later on when, you know, such a beautiful story, like the young man got out of the hospital and everything, he like went on to like become an assistant coach with that other coach, and they have like a really like close relationship. And I just think that that's just so marvelous. Like, I am so grateful for that. Like, you know, so again, like I say, it's not my powerhouse to like organize and get everything together. It's not, but it is my powerhouse to say, hey, I know what it's like to be on the other side of this, and I know how important the help is. Like, what can we do to help? You know? And so that was like my little role in that situation, which I don't really care. Like, I don't care about that. I just care that like they were engrossed in love. And, yeah, it was such a difficult time. So I say all that to say, to like give myself the grace, because until today, I forgot that. Like, until today, I forgot when I got on the couch, I was really tired. And when I got on that couch, I was really excited to be in the present with my boys. I was really excited to watch the game of Survivor with them and have literally one boy on one side and one boy on another. Like, these are teenage boys sitting with their mom. And I get a call from my uncle, and it's late. And I debated it for a second, like, but then the lesson said, what are you going to do with the interruption? And I was like, I just want to be present with these kids. And I think he called twice in a row. And when he called the second time, it made me feel very uneasy, right? You get that uneasy feeling. And when that call came in, I, again, just silenced the phone, and I was like, okay, if it is something serious, I will just give a call when the show's over. It has like 15 more minutes. And I did, and he didn't answer. And shortly after that, I get a call from his neighbor, and, you know, she's telling me what's happening. And then I'm like, what in the world, you know, because they were very close. And, I talked to the first responders, and, they tell me that he had been out for at least 4 minutes, that, he had lost a significant amount of blood, and which induced a heart attack. And then because his heart had stopped, he then lost brain, the oxygen to his brain for over 4 minutes. And, that they're working on him right now. And there was a faint pulse after 4 minutes. But they don't know how long he was out. Like, so it was a lot. And so I remember like sitting there, and like once I heard everything, I was like, okay, well, I don't know where he is. Again, like the same thing like with my grandma. Like, I don't know where he is, but wherever he is, no matter how tired, hungry, exhausted I am, I'm going to find him. And so I did. He didn't have his wallet on him. So like he was literally like, he was called some, like, they don't call him John Doe or anything, but like he was literally called a state. I was like, what? Like, it was like a 2-word state. It was like something like North Dakota. I was like, so like on all of his stuff, on his wristband, which I think he would have got an actual kick out of. I mean, I don't know if he would have like, I don't know if he had any other connections to North Dakota. He did travel to every state with his wife. And so perhaps something weird there. I never thought about that until this very second, but like he literally was called like North Dakota. It was so strange to me. And so like I would call for, like to see if or when I went into the hospital, because I went to the first hospital to see where he is. And they were like, nobody's here by this name. And then like I had to like explain what happened, and they were like, well, maybe like there could be somebody here. And then that's when they're like, oh, okay, he's called North Dakota because he didn't have his wallet on. We didn't have his name when he came in on the ambulance. And so yeah, it was just, again, I was in this position, but now I was alone, like, again, in the same very hospital where he was before, near the room that he was, when my auntie and my other auntie and my cousin and I were in there, and they gave him a 0% chance to live. And here it was, 5 years or so later, and he was now grappling with a similar situation. It was like a part of me is like, he's a damn cat. Like he's got 9 lives. Like he's used up a couple. Yeah. But 2 heart attacks and a stroke. Like he still has at least 6. And if we're taking one right here, he's probably got 5 more left. And so like, there was that part of me that he had survived so much that like, of course he would survive this. But I think today, what the important thing for me, the important realization was when I was narrowed in on the focus, when I saw myself as the role of the saver, the savior, the fixer, the problem solver, the fixer of all things, the one that has the cape, that has been there to help people survive. And inevitably in this situation, I chose to not pick up the phone. And now I don't know, again, where life would have taken me had I answered the phone or whatever, but I made a choice, and I made a choice to spend that time in the presence of my kids. I had communicated with them multiple times before. They were lovely conversations. There was a plan to see him tomorrow. And now is the little bit of time I had with my teenage boys watching a silly reality show. And it was really important to me. And especially with the knowing, with that information about how in any car ride, in any second, ironically, that it can all change. Like there was no way 729 days ago, my uncle knew, like I have his journal, I've read it. Like he would wake up and this was going to be the last day that he would wake up in the morning like that, like, and be able to write and be able to watch a show, like, because if he would have known, I think he would have done a lot of things differently. He had a great day that day. Actually, he had a friend come over and have lunch with him, and, it's the fragility of life that motivates me to number one, be better, to leave a legacy of better. And that means that I have to sometimes turn my finger in and take a look at myself and be like, okay, like, is this how you want to show up? And if it is, you're fine. Like no change needed. But if it doesn't feel good to me, like it's not something I want to continue to do or do in the future. So, learning these lessons and then applying them, and then having this platform to share them, like whether it be with my kids or my grandkids or with you, like to be able to share and have conversations. Like today at the gym, there was a lovely lady again. I talked to her for like 20 minutes. It was a lady, we've said hi and, oh, you're fun, you know, things like that. But I found out there's this like whole connection, and her goal is to go off on a boat and with her husband and travel Europe on a sailboat. Like, and that was their original goal, but then they had kids. And I mean, how lovely is that, right? Like how beautiful, like that. I'm like, I get you. Like I would love to do something like that. And, you know, to talk about how like her daughter has just done this, went to Africa on a meditation retreat and like a healthy, clean eating and an equestrian like retreat, like, and how happy she is not being a part of the rat race and not being like all stressed out like she is at home. And I was like, yes, like yes and yes, like everything she said. And then she goes on to tell me that like her husband had epilepsy, and I was like, and brain surgery too. And I was like, yes, like you get it. Like you just see life differently when you've had to confront these kind of issues. And it's in a way, it's like, I'm kind of glad these things happened, even though they were uncomfortable and they're unfortunate. Of course, I don't wish anything to happen, you know, like my kids to go through any of this. But you see the world so differently. Like you're willing to take these chances. Like, you know that it is not a guarantee we're going to be here. So why are we wasting it doing crap we don't want to do, feeling stressed just to live in a house we don't want to live in? Like, it's like nonsense to me. So like, it's like, oh, now it's starting to make sense. So I say all that to say, today was a nice day for me, and I was very kind to myself, and to be able to have this vision where I could see and now remember, well, this is why you didn't answer the phone. And I can give myself peace. Like before, it haunted me that like I could have had this last conversation with him even, or anything like that. And it just wasn't meant to be. And that's okay too. And so I have so much more to say, but I want to say this, like, I love my uncle so much. I am so appreciative for the love that he provided me and the ways he showed up for me. You know, one of the ways that he would always, you know, him and I would always joke when we would, you know, hang up the phone, was like, I love you more, you know, like it was just a very sweet and enduring thing. And, you know, I appreciated that every morning nearly every morning he called me. So it was like, he often thought of me. And I'll share another story about him on another day, but that like was this huge realization today, but I've already yabbered on for so long. And I just want to say, like, go out there, and if there's somebody in your life that has shown up for you and has given you love, like, go out there, and if they're here or not, like, let them know. Because like there was a part of me that I was like, man, like if he could just see me now. And then like I want to believe that like he already saw this all, like he knew what was gonna happen. And I want to believe that he does see like all the seeds that he was so gracious enough to plant are finally blooming. And I just needed my own time and space in order to create this place to do that and have this journey. And so like, just be appreciative of the people that show up for you, and make sure you tell them you love them and you care about them while you can, so that you don't have any regret. Because I think, you know, a lot of time the people that show up for us know we love them, right? But it always feels good to hear that, like, I love you, and go beyond that. Like, tell them, like, I'm so grateful that you show up for me. I'm grateful to have you in my life, whether it be as like a friend, you know, like, it just means so much to know, like, you know, like to hear, like even today at the gym, it means so much to me that like people care if I'm there or where I stand, you know, like, you know, that they're, you know, they're watching, and, you know, like I help them in some small way. And so like it just is nice to hear. And you just never know when that'll be the last time to hear like how much they love you. And so again, I have the most beautiful message for him before, and it was of the utmost peace. And the message before, the one that I missed, like he called right as I was just about to get to the gym, and I had to get into the class, right? Probably had to get to my spot or whatever. I was just getting there. So I was definitely in the back. So I didn't have a spot. My spot was in the back. He had called and just had left this, because that was the thing. He told me he was going to call to tell me what the lecture was about. Like I didn't have to answer. He knew I was going to be busy. He just left the most beautiful message, and he told me to listen to this one. I said this before, but it's this one YouTube by a Sunday guru, and he's talking with, oh gosh, I see his face right now. Oh my gosh, it's an interview with him and, oh my goodness, I had forgot about this before. The guy with glasses. Oh my goodness, I'll get it for tomorrow. My brain is not there, but it'll probably come. I want to say there's a G in his name, but anyways, he's having an interview with him, and just basically he was like, okay, so my uncle said, this sums up all of my lessons. Like I got he sent me this. Like I have a thing that says, basically what he's saying in this 45 minutes sums up everything I've taught you. And it was just like, it's almost like he knew, right? Like it was like a finality. Like it was like okay, here's the ending. Like there was an ending. And I like to think that like it wasn't an ending. I like to think that it was like a handoff, because I really do feel like we're all kind of connected here, and like, you know, for like our family's legacy and stuff, like perhaps all the lessons I learned from my grandma and my aunties and my great aunties, and the ones that they've told me from my great grandparents that I'll never meet, and then my uncles and my aunts, like I like to believe that like everything has come together, and like this is all working in time. Like this is the way it was supposed to be. Like the technology wasn't available, the time wasn't available, the, you know, whatever it was, but like those lessons and those things have like come and been instilled in me, because I've had this weird, traumatic, tragic kind of life, but I've always been able to see the bigger picture. And I've been, no, well, not always, I've been narrow-minded too, but I've been able to always believe in my heart. Like the lady yesterday had asked me, like, have you always been like this upbeat? Have you always been this like, you know, this good way of like looking at things? And I say yes. Like I've always been an optimistic and positive person. It was just, the difference was my happiness depended on your happiness. Like you needed to be happy, you needed to be okay, you needed to be content. But I've always been like that person. Like I've always been the like somebody who can reframe and believe, like I really just always believe something happens for a reason. Like I just can't imagine a world that torture just happens just to torture people. Like there is a reason, and it's not always fair, and it's not always, you know, right and understood in the time, but I do believe there is a reason for all of it. And so I just remind you, please go out there and just share like your love. Like tell those you love them, and spend that time, make the decision to like make that choice to give your family your undivided attention, or somebody in your family or your friends or whatever, whoever it is, your dog, your cat, whatever it is that makes you happy. Like let them know, like it's beautiful. And so the last thing I'm going to say is go out there today, please, and smile, compliment somebody, look at somebody in the eyes, and just let them know that like they exist and you care, and you like their hair, you like their shoes, something, because there's something beautiful and lovely about all of us, even the ones that are looking unhappy and grumpy, sometimes they're the ones that need the compliments most. So go out there and spread some joy and have a great day, evening, weekend, night, whatever it is. And hopefully I'll come to you tomorrow with some more goodies. And, I'm going to dance in the morning. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, so thank you so much again for listening. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for hearing my crazy stories, and I hope you understand what I'm saying. So thank you. Bye-bye.